The Diesel Performance Podcast contains explicit language.
Thank you for joining us again. This is Paul Wilson.
And I'm Danny Voss.
And you know you're listening to the Diesel Performance Podcast. Danny, lately we have just been rocking it out. Diesel Power Challenge with Diesel Power Magazine going on there in Colorado. Been cranking out some episodes over here. Hope you guys all have had a chance to jump in and listen to some of the competitors. We will have more of those as we continue on.
Yeah, it's been a behind-the-scenes look at what the drivers are up to and what's going through their head.
Yeah, you know, usually we have to wait for some of the Facebook updates and the little kind of tidbits we get throughout it. But, of course, this year they actually did the live broadcast, the Facebook live broadcast sponsored by Fleece. So that was really, really cool for everybody to be able to see what's going on.
I've been watching at work. Don't tell Nick. I've been sneaking it in.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. It's been on my phone or the computer just about the whole time. So that's been a lot of fun. Big thank you to KJ for getting us hooked up with being able to interview some of those guys. We also are going to have McCoy Black, and, of course, we'll have Charlie Keeter back on here very soon.
Oh, yeah. They're laying it down, them boys.
Yeah. Actually, those episodes might post before this. Who knows?
Yeah.
If you haven't heard them, go and listen. They're up on the page for sure. And then, of course, Calibrated Power, Duramax Tuner, killing it as always. This is the busy season, guys. So if you're looking to get something done with your Duramax, with your Cummins, with your John Deere, with your Case, whatever diesel vehicle you're behind, we want to help. The phones are on. Everybody's available. You should still see about a 1 to 2 day turnaround time on just about everything over there.
And it's free to call and find out what we can do to your unit.
Absolutely. Of course, you can ask for me, Paul Wilson, at extension 2122.
Or you can ask for me. I'm Danny, extension 2124.
And you can reach any of us at 815-568-7920. That's 815-568-7920. Let's talk about your diesel. Now that we've paid the bills, Danny, we're back on point.
Yeah.
Danny claimed, so a little while ago we were in the office, and Danny claimed he was the best drag racer and would race anybody.
In the office.
In the office.
Yeah.
In the office. I brought it up at the UCC when we were broadcasting live. I made Danny throw out a challenge to all of the competitors. Everybody was too busy to race him, and he didn't have anything to drive, so there was really no point there. But we recently had our local drag strip put on the diesel days. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it. Had some family stuff going on.
Yeah.
But Danny, it's in your neck of the woods. You rolled down there, huh?
I have gone to every diesel drag pretty much since it started in Byron. I helped originate the diesel drags in Byron, so it's kind of something that I have to do, I feel.
Okay.
It's been a lot of fun to be a part of that through the 5-6 years or so that we've been doing the show, basically. There's 2 events a year, one in the spring, one in the fall, for the farmers. So if you missed it, in one of them, you can find a way to get there.
It's funny to me that I bring up this specific weekend, and you spend a lot of time talking about other things, because this question is driving at, Danny, did you win? And if so, where's the trophy? And if not, what the fuck?
Well, that's why we have a special guest with us today. We have Mr. Nick Canon. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. How about you guys?
We're doing great, Nick. We're doing great. When I heard Danny wanted to bring you on, I don't think he realized I was going to spend the whole episode ridiculing him and making you sound like a professional.
Hey.
So this is an easy interview for you, bud.
Well, I think I'm far from a professional. I mean, sometimes it just comes down to luck, in your position in the day. Sometimes you win. Obviously, you win some, you lose some. It all depends on. There's so many different factors in drag racing. Between your reaction time, the weather changes, your vehicle you're running, your combination, your traction. Some of the best they can lose them, in a matter of seconds. So.
I hear you there, and that is a very humble response from somebody who took first place in an extremely surprising vehicle at the drag races. Now, a few things here. One, Nick, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk to us and our listeners.
Absolutely.
Not a problem at all. So, number one, Danny, you were down there racing your personal truck.
Yeah, I was racing an 06 regular cab LBZ. I was just trying to keep it consistent that day.
Built trans, stock turbo, basic supporting
fuel.
mods.
You betcha.
Yeah.
I can run a 1250 in it, no problem. But that day I was dialing in at a 1390 to try to stay consistent.
1390, trying to stay consistent. Now, when we talk about consistency, it's because at this particular drag event, it's bracket racing. So what bracket racing, for somebody who's new to racing, so you understand, you give the sponsor, you give the event people your time, your ET. So Danny put in a 1390. So that means he is not going to run faster than a 1390. He's estimating his time to be exactly a 1390. Now, if somebody like Nick Cannon rolls up in an 85 IDI Power Stroke next to you, what ET did you have on Saturday or Sunday?
I dialed a 21.6, so that's quite a bit slower.
1.6.
Yep.
21, much slower. A second is slow. Like, if you're off by a second, you are slow in drag racing. If you're off by 7 seconds, it's like a totally different fucking vehicle, which I love, by the way. This really got me going. Okay, so how bracket racing works is because Nick has a 21 and Danny has a 13, just for round numbers, that means Nick gets to leave. Now it's 8 seconds before Danny gets to leave. So the idea is at the end of the track, they should be crossing the finish line at the exact same time if they both are running their exact ET. Gentlemen, you both race more than I do. Would you say I have described bracket racing accurately?
Yeah, for the most part. Also, your reaction time, because you want to get the best reaction time, and then the best package is to have a perfect reaction time and run right on your dial, which is extremely hard.
And that's exactly where I lost the race, was my reaction time. You can tank the race before you even start it, basically, or you can lose it at the end, at the stripe.
It's off the lights. So it's not off when you cross the start line. It's off when the light goes green. So that means your reaction time is counting against you, right? When you dial in an ET. That's time you're not moving on the track.
So
right.
The thing that killed me was my reaction time. I was sleeping at the light, Paul. I ran a .327 reaction time where Nick was a .239, and that affected me big time. But you were talking about the time that I had to sit there and wait for my tree to come to life.
Yeah.
I had to wait, 6-7 seconds. It felt like an eternity. So I'm sitting there at the light, spooled a little bit, I got a little throttle, a little brake, and I'm holding it. And my goal was not to red light against Nick, because I knew that Nick's got a lot of experience. He's not going to red light. So me waiting there that long, I didn't want to jump the tree. And I actually intended to be a little bit behind the tree just so I don't red light. And I think I went too far.
yeah, I'd say you missed your calibration mark on that one
by a tenth of a second.
Okay. So first of all, obviously Nick won. Nick won first place for the whole event. He killed it in this slow, old, non-turbo diesel truck.
Mm-hmm.
But it was fucking awesome. I just want to say that. Like, it really was fucking awesome. Nick, we mentioned you have some experience in diesel. Tell us, how'd you get your start in diesel performance?
Well, I'm not as big into diesel as other people. We have another Duramax, which is basically just a tow vehicle. We go drag racing pretty much every weekend. I currently race a junior dragster. This will be my last year in that. And I'll be moving up to... We got some door cars, just other bracket cars I'll probably end up running. But as far as the other Duramax, we tune it up a little bit. We're not too crazy with it just because just want a consistent tow vehicle. But, I've always been interested in all kinds of different drag racing. Diesel's pretty cool because, big black smoke and loud, and it's just, just cool.
And how old are you, Nick?
I'm 18.
18 years old. I got whooped up on by a high school graduate, which is awesome. I thank the world that you did that because of your experience before the race in the pits. There was some talk about you, Nick. All the other drivers were coming up to me saying, "Do you know that guy has a fire suit on right now and he's got a lot of experience?" And I go, "Yeah."
Hold on. Back up. Nick, were you wearing a fire suit in a 21-second truck?
Well, actually, I was wearing fire pants at Tech. They said they wanted me to wear pants, so went borrowed a fire suit or pants and just wore that.
At Tech, they looked at your truck. It was like, hey, listen, man, this thing's definitely going to break the fuck down.
You can't wear shorts. I think that's what he's talking about. They didn't want us to wear shorts.
Yeah.
But you intimidated a lot of guys wearing those pants because they all came up to me saying, "Danny, I don't know what you got yourself into here. I hope you know that you lined up next to a junior dragster."
A junior dragster. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's mine's a 790 car, which is the fastest in the junior dragster category. You can run 790 from 13 to 18 years old, and 798th mile, which is around 85 miles an hour, which doesn't seem fast, but
Faster than your
the
IDI
thing
in a
is,
quarter.
yeah. I think it's like a 1.4, 1.5, or 1.3 60 foot. So it launches pretty hard.
Holy
That is
fuck.
ripping, dude. That's a rocket.
I mean, 85 miles an hour. If you've never seen a junior dragster, it's a fucking pencil with a seat and a wheel on it. Like there's nothing to them, man. They're tiny.
That's about it.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's
Paul breaks it down,
380
boy.
pounds.
How much?
Like 380.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, that's without driver.
Right.
It's a one-cylinder engine, burns alcohol, 42 millimeter carburetor. I mean, thing runs at like 8,200 RPM. So
That is awesome.
Oh, I love that. Okay, and how long have you been doing it?
I've only been doing it, I think, since I was 13 or 14. So only a few years. You know, they actually have slower juniors for. You can actually start them at 5 years old now, where they're a lot slower and you don't compete with anybody. But once you're 6 years old, you could jump right in and start competing with people and winning races.
Oh my God, I know what my kid's doing 6 years from now.
Junior drags. Dude, we'll have...
Well, hold on. Now, Danny, let's back up a little
Yeah.
bit. You were talking about how much experience Nick has
Yeah.
and how Nick, he's a dragster and he's got all this passes. You grew up next to the drag strip.
I
You've been
did.
drag racing longer than the last 4 years.
Probably.
And that's when he got into it, was
Yeah.
4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So you did not. So you keep saying, "Oh, he had so much experience," but like he just beat you. Don't take away from his win by saying it was because he was more experienced.
Oh, when I went up to the late, I knew Nick knew what he was doing. That was one big thing. I feel like he was just waiting for me at the finish line so he could just barely cross it and win.
How much did you get him by, Nick?
I don't have the time slips with me, but what I did actually is I knew I beat him at the lights because when he launched, I kind of looked back and just kind of judged it by, you know, how far I was and how fast he was coming up on me.
Yeah.
So I actually tapped the brakes a little bit just to ensure I wouldn't break out. But
So to
if I
answer your
stayed in, I
question,
would have been fine.
I have our time slip right in front of us. I dialed in at a 1390. I ran a 1399. You dialed in at a 2160. You ran a 2170.
Holy
2171.
shit.
Now I actually beat your dial-in, but you got me on the reaction time. That's why I lost the race.
I love that he had to hit the brakes in a 21-second truck.
Oh, yeah.
Can I just say that? That's
And let me go back to what you were saying. You only know how to do that from experience. If you don't know what's going on, and you don't know how to drag race, you'll never know when to hit these brakes.
drag racing. Anytime you're in a bracket, whether it's an index class or just straight up bracket racing, it's a learned skill that you can only learn through experience.
And
you cannot teach somebody to know that feeling or to have that judgment. You have to go out there and put down passes. Nick, if we got somebody who's new or somebody who's young and they want to get into drag racing, what kind of advice do you have for them?
Big thing is practice. I mean, we used to go almost every other week, you know, up to Union Grove and go practice, you know, try different lights. My sister, she's aged out, but she used to race juniors as well. We would run by each, you know, we'd run each other and actually kind of look over and kind of judge each other where we're at, and then we look at our time slips and, you know, kind of start getting the feel on what they're running and what we're running, and, you know, just kind of get a good feel of it. Another thing is like when you're bracket racing, if you're running someone around the same time, right when you launch, you want to look over and see if they're ahead of you. If they're ahead of you, then they had a better reaction time. So you want to try staying as far out there as you can without breaking out.
Right.
So you kind of have to look at it like in the, you know, beginning at the end of the run.
Okay.
So true. But you don't, like you said, you don't just wake up and know this stuff. You have to be there. You have to lose these type of races to really have it instilled in your head. And I, honest to God, Nick, I'm not just saying this, but I feel like I'm a better drag racer after drag racing you. I will tell you that. I feel like I needed to step my game up and to practice more after I lost such a close race to you. Because any other year at the diesel drags, that would have probably put me in the top spot the way I was running that day. So congratulations on the big win. And that's not the only thing you won that day. the other award he won, there was over 85 entries, and Nick won the most unique diesel truck award for the whole day.
What?
Yeah, this truck is it's a looker, dude. It looks awesome.
Tell us about the truck, Nick.
It was a 1985 F-250. Actually, it was a California truck, so I get the nice part of it. There's no like frame rust or anything, but it was actually in the family, and we brought it down to Texas for my sister, and then we brought it back up here, and it's a bone stock. Well, actually, the motor and trans were rebuilt like 5,000 miles ago. But, I mean, the thing's got 95,000 miles on it. The thing's bone stock. I have to say, I think actually having it naturally aspirated, I think it makes it more consistent because you're not relying on as much weather changes and losing traction and spooling it up and stuff.
What are the challenges of racing something like that?
Well, it's a lot slower, so you kind of have to just kind of have to deal with it. I'm used to racing the junior, which is a lot faster, so it does get taken used to. But that day I was like, you know what, the diesel race are going on. I feel like going out and racing, and drove out there and entered and hope for the best.
Have you been out with that truck before? Do you have a lot of seat time in it, like at the track?
No, that's just my daily driver. I've never raced that. That was the first day I raced it.
Danny, this is making you look worse and worse. The more Nick talks, the worse your skill appears.
I'll tell you, you have to be there to compete. You have to be there. You have to show up. That's half the battle, is showing up. And that's something that a lot of guys didn't do.
This guy literally just is like, man, fuck it. I feel like racing today.
Yeah.
Jumps in this old ass. I mean, this thing's 33 years old, 32 years old. This truck is 30. He jumps in his 32-year-old truck and is like, fuck it. I've never raced it before. I'll just jump in it and see what happens. How many test and tune passes did you take, Nick?
I think I made 3. I got there kind of late.
3 fucking passes. And he smokes the whole class. How many people were bracket racing? Was it 40
I believe
trucks?
there were 7.
Yep.
Oh, just 7?
I had the Byron first round.
Oh, you got the Byron. You got the Byron and Byron. Well, that's pretty cool. You deserve it, probably. I'll tell you. But let me talk about your last race.
Let's hear it.
He raced against a guy named Kyle Engel. Kyle Engel has a badass LML truck with a hood stack.
Yeah.
420s. This thing was running like 1240s all day, consistent, right on the dot. And I would have been nervous if I won my race, I would have had to race Kyle. And Kyle, I mean, he is no slouch when it comes to drag racing. Tell us about that race.
Oh, that was a pretty close race, too. Actually, by the finish line, I think they said it was a 19-inch margin of victory.
Oh, my God.
So, for racing a really slow truck versus a pretty fast truck, that was a pretty close race.
Is it not just fucking nerve-wracking after the 8th mile where, like, your foot's on the floor and you're like, God damn, if this thing could just do 88 miles an hour, I'll change, like, total time zones here, right? Like, just praying for it and just watching your mirror. I'd imagine, like, what else do you do when you're that far out? I mean, you're watching your mirror half the track, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I was just looking back, seeing if he was actually going to make it down the track or not. I was like, man, I don't know if this guy's actually going to come,
Oh, that is so cool. That is so cool. So what's next for you? What's your next plan in diesel performance? Is that it? Or are we just going to drive the IDI?
No, I don't think so. That's just kind of a daily. If I end up selling more of my stuff and making some more money, I'll probably get into like a built Duramax or something. But I typically try keeping them, like, a lot of the fast stuff for the track, because it's a little bit cheaper and I don't have to blow stuff up out of my daily or something.
Sure. I love it. Well, Nick, it definitely sounds like you got a good head on your shoulders. Congratulations. Yeah. I appreciate you coming on the show and helping me pick on Danny. I really, really get a kick out of it.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. I hope see you guys out at the fall diesel race.
Absolutely. We'll be there. Guys, thanks so much for listening to today's episode. Again, if you need anything for your diesel trucks, turbos have been huge lately, Danny, with the Stealth 64 line.
Can't even keep them in stock, Paul.
Yeah, LB7, LLY, LBZ, LMM, LML, all of the Duramaxes, not the L5P yet. And then, of course, we also have them for pretty much 03 to 2009 Cummins. We have Stealth 64s in stock for those as well. So if you guys need turbos, tuning, tractor tuning, anything else, give us a shout, 815-568-7920. Thanks so much for listening.
Calibrated Power Solutions, the leading North American developer of clean diesel power and home of DuramaxTuner.com, is the proud sponsor of the Diesel Performance Podcast. Calibrated Power develops emissions-equipped tunes for a wide variety of diesel powertrains, including the Duramax, Cummins, Jeep, John Deere, and many more. For more information and the best customer service in the industry, check out calibratedpower.com or call 815-568-7920. That's 815-568-7920. To reach out to the Diesel Performance Podcast, send us a message through Facebook or email Paul at DuramaxTuner.com or Danny at DuramaxTuner.com.
Hold on. Back up. Nick, were you wearing a fire suit in a 21-second truck?
Well, actually, I was wearing fire pants. The tech, they said they wanted me to wear pants, so went and borrowed a fire suit or pants and just wore that.